Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of standing orders to enable me to take the first reading of a bill shortly entitled the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority Act 2026.
Members, the question is that the standing orders be suspended to allow Minister to take the first reading of the bill. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Ayes have it. Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I now move that a bill shortly entitled the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority Act 2026 be read a first time.
Clerk.
A bill shortly entitled the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority Act 2026 read a first time.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of second reading of the bill. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take a second reading of the bill and to take it through all its concluding stages.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Not yet. Hold on. Public business.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker.
Opposition
Given
leader.
notice of
Opposition.
second reading, I was just going to ask, the bill that was tabled during the budget debate by the Prime Minister has been withdrawn today, and a new bill has been tabled. And I've had a quick look at it, and there are changes. I don't know the extent of the changes.
Opposition leader,
perhaps we could have an explanation of what is intended.
You will get to that, opposition leader. Opposition leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker. The bill having been tabled today, the standing orders would normally require it a week to pass before the debate on the bill commences. So we are commencing the debate on the day of tabling, which is not what the standing orders normally require. And so one would have to authorize that, notwithstanding the fact it was only tabled today. Secondly, Madam Speaker, there has been significant comment, analysis of the bill since it was tabled by the Prime Minister in its previous form. And the importance of it would suggest, and I, having read the previous version, am of the view that the bill ought to go to a joint select committee so it can be properly reviewed and we can hear from a range of stakeholders so as to ensure that it is fit for purpose and that it adequately addresses all the issues that need to be addressed for an entity, a statutory entity, such as the one which the bill is establishing, can function in accordance with modern principles of good governance and achieve the other objectives which the government has in mind for this body. I don't think that a joint select committee process would necessarily have to be lengthy. It would be in an efficient way, but I think it's very important that this not be rushed through the Parliament, as the fact that we're going to start the debate on it today, the date that it is being tabled, indicates is the intent of the government. I just want to bring to the House's attention that something that the Prime Minister has said is not actually accurate. The Executive Agencies Act provides for the establishment of advisory boards for executive agencies. And I'm aware that certainly Companies Office has an advisory board. I believe Customs does as well. And if you look at Section 4 of the Executive Agencies Act, it specifically says that there should be an advisory board. When Section 5, there shall be establishment and functions of an advisory board. Every scheme of management has to have that. So it's not true to say that there's no oversight, board oversight. They do have board oversight, and the boards play an important role in helping the executive agencies to function effectively.
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I have two options in front of me. One option is to respond to the leader of the opposition and not detract from my presentation. But the other option is respond to the leader of the opposition. Because, as is being said, sort of Oversight, I think the country needs to understand this presentation is not speaking about an advisory board. This presentation is speaking about a board of governance, which I believe all members understood that this is what we are speaking about, and that there is a significant difference between an advisory board and a board of governance. The essence of the critique of the direction of the legislation is about governance. Yes, the law provides for the appointment by the CEO of an advisory board. Recommends the members of the advisory board not to hold him to account for governance issues, but as a mechanism for him or her to consult with on matters specific, especially to the technical elements of the agency. I think the country needs to appreciate that there is not just a significant difference, but Madam Speaker, the advisory boards are not required to treat with matters of governance, accountability, and all the other issues of administration. When we are speaking about a governance board, we're primarily now speaking about how these entities will be held to account, how policy will be implemented, matters to deal with performance. Now, I want to be clear, Madam Speaker. NARA will be established in the form of an executive agency. It is not new.
On a point of order, the Prime Minister said that executive agencies don't have boards. That was incorrect. They do have advisory boards. He also said something about the CEO appointing the board, which is also incorrect. Typically, the minister under whose portfolio the executive agency falls appoints the board. And this, NARA, is not an executive agency. It is a statutory body. Clause 3 makes it absolutely clear. It's a statutory body to which the relevant section of the Interpretation Act applies. Section 28, which means it can hold property, can sue in its own name and be sued, etc. This is not an executive agency. That whole discussion about an executive agency is a complete red herring.
Madam Speaker, I believe we should focus. we should focus on this, because the more the leader of the opposition gets into this business, the more he reveals himself as not having an understanding of the issues. Madam Speaker, let me be precise about NARA. and what we will have in place of a governing board. Because some commentary has proceeded as if there is no oversight at all. The oversight is robust and it is modeled on the most successful accountability mechanism in Jamaica's modern history. As I announced in my budget presentation, the Jamaica Reconstruction and Resilience Oversight Committee, JAMROC, will be established to provide independent public oversight of NARA's performance. Madam Speaker, I am not here saying that the executive agency model has worked perfectly. Decades of experience have revealed certain challenges. In particular, while executive agency CEOs are engaged on performance-based contracts with accountability for results, the practical reality has not always matched that design. Often,